this unit, you are going to learn about conditional sentences and about the past perfect tense. We use conditional sentences to say that one thing depends on or is a consequence of another. There are three basic types of conditional sentences, usually called first, second, and third conditional. The clause that contains the condition can start with if or with unless, which means if not. Depending on emphasis, the conditional clause with if or unless can come before or after the main clause in the sentence. This does not affect what verb tenses are used in each clause. Those are the general rules. Now let's look at each type of conditional sentence. First conditional sentences are used to describe actions or events we consider real possibilities. In the conditional clause, if or unless is followed by the present simple tense, even when a future situation is referred to. In the main clause, we can use the will future or the future with going to. Will is more frequent than going to, which emphasises intention or prediction. If it rains at the weekend, I'll stay at home. If I have time this evening, I'll phone you. If I have enough money, I'll buy a new car. Or, I'm going to buy a new car. If you're not careful, you'll break that. Or, you're going to break that. Remember that even though the action or event referred to in the conditional clause is in the future, we do not use a future tense after if. We use the present simple. If I will have time this evening, I'll phone you, is a mistake. If is followed by the present simple whether the conditional clause comes before or after the principal clause. If it rains, I'll stay at home. I'll stay at home if it rains. With if, the verb in one or both clauses can be negative. If it doesn't rain, I'll go to the country. If it rains, I won't go to the country. If it doesn't snow by Saturday, we won't go skiing. Conditional clauses can be used in questions. What will you do if there's a bus strike? If you buy a new car, what kind will you get? Remember, do not use will after if or unless in first conditional sentences. Use will in the principal clause. The meaning of unless is if not. All the rules that apply to if apply to unless. In first conditional sentences, it is followed by the present simple tense, whether the clause it introduces comes first in the sentence or not. I'll spend the weekend at the sea unless it rains. Unless it rains, I'll spend the weekend at the sea. In other types of conditional sentences, it is followed by the same verb tenses that if is followed by. The use of unless is somewhat more limited than that of if. Unless is negative in meaning, so it should not be followed by a negative verb. In addition, it can only be used to replace if not, when the meaning of the sentence is that one thing will happen if it is not stopped by another. When the meaning of the sentence is that something will be the result of something else not happening, we cannot use unless. We must use if not. In this sentence, you cannot use unless. If she doesn't come to the party, I'll be happy is correct. Unless she comes to the party, I'll be happy is a mistake. Second conditional sentences are used to describe possibilities that are considered improbable, hypothetical, or unreal. In the conditional clause, if or unless is followed by the past tense, even when we are referring to a present or future situation. In the main clause, we use the conditional, formed by using the modal would and the base verb. After a pronoun, would can be contracted to apostrophe D. I'd, you'd, he'd, etc. The contracted form of would not is wouldn't. It's May. If it snowed now, fruit trees would be killed. If I had more time, I'd do yoga. If I were rich, I'd buy an island in the Pacific. If I were you, I'd be careful. Note that in the if clause in second conditional sentences, were is used with all persons, including I, he, she, and it, especially in formal style and in writing. It is also possible to use other modal verbs in the main clause of the sentence. Might can be used to mean would perhaps. If I had more time, I might do yoga. It's something I've thought about. If I were rich, I might buy an island in the Pacific, but I might travel round the world instead. I'm not really sure. Could can be used to mean would be able to. If I knew their address, I could write to them. Remember that even though the action or event referred to in the conditional clause is the condition on which the action or event in the main clause depends, we do not use would. We use the past tense. If I would know their address, I would write to them is a mistake. If I knew their address, I would write to them. If I knew their address, I might write to them. If I knew their address, I could write to them are all correct. While first conditional sentences are used to talk about possibilities that might come true, second conditional sentences are used when we feel there is little or no chance of what we are talking about really happening. We are imagining the result of a hypothetical condition. The difference, then, between the following two sentences, a first conditional and a second conditional sentence, is not in tense, but in how real the possibility is considered. Mr. Clinton, election day is next week. What will you do if you become president? Liam, what would you do if you became President of the United States? In the first conditional, if is followed by the present simple and the future is used in the main clause. No matter which of the two clauses comes first in the sentence. In second conditional sentences, if is followed by the past and the conditional with would is used in the main clause. no matter which of the two clauses comes first. If I knew the answer, I'd tell you. I'd tell you if I knew the answer. The verb in one or both clauses can be negative. If he didn't have a cold, he would go to the party. If he wore warmer clothes, he wouldn't get colds all the time. If she didn't drive so fast, she wouldn't get so many tickets. As you've seen, conditional clauses can be used in questions. What would you do if you won the lottery? Unless can be used with the same meaning and following the same rules that were explained a few minutes ago. I wouldn't get a cellular telephone unless I really needed one. Remember, do not use would after if or unless in second conditional sentences. Use would in the main clause. The past perfect tense is used in the conditional clause following if or unless in third conditional sentences. In other lessons, you'll learn other uses of the past perfect tense. For now, I'm just going to explain how this tense is formed. To form the past perfect tense, we use had with all persons, followed by the past participle. After pronouns, had can be contracted to apostrophe D. You can say it'd, but this contracted form is not usually used in writing. I, you, he, she, it, we, they had worked. I'd, you'd, he'd, she'd, we'd, they'd worked. In the negative, we use had not or the contracted form hadn't. I, you, he, she, it, we, they had not worked. I, you, he, she, it, we, they hadn't worked. For the past perfect continuous, we use the past perfect of the verb to be, had been, followed by a verb plus ing. I, you, he, she, it, we, they had been working. I, you, he, she, it, we, they had not been working. These are the only past perfect forms that you will need to use in conditional sentences. You'll study questions and short answers in another lesson. Third conditional sentences are used to describe actions or events that did not happen in the past, imagining what would have been different if things had happened differently. Third conditional sentences only refer to actions or events in the past, never to those in the present or in the future. In the conditional clause, if or unless is followed by a verb in the past perfect tense. In the main clause, we use a perfect conditional formed using would have plus a past participle. If it had rained yesterday, I would have stayed home. If I had had time last weekend, I would have telephoned you. If I had had enough money, I would have bought a new car last year. If you had been careful, you wouldn't have broken it. If you had been driving faster, you wouldn't have been able to stop. In all these sentences, we are hypothesizing about something that is contrary to fact. The condition is something which did not happen. When we say, if it had rained, our meaning is that it did not rain. When we say, if you had been careful, our meaning is that the person we are speaking to was not careful. In the main clause, it is possible to use other modal verbs. Could have and might have. Might have means would perhaps have. If we had booked in advance, we might have found cheaper seats. Could have means would have been able to. If I had known you were coming, I could have arranged to meet you at the station. Remember that in the conditional clause, you must use a past perfect verb, even though you are stating a condition. If I would have had more money, I would have bought a car, is a mistake. If I had had more money, I would have bought a car, is correct. However, when the result of the conditional clause has a present meaning, it is possible to use the present conditional with would plus verb in the main clause, rather than the perfect conditional with would have plus verb. If I had had more money, I would have a new car now. If he hadn't been lucky, he wouldn't have his present job. If I hadn't gone to the party, I wouldn't have met him, and we wouldn't be married now. You can use a perfect conditional clause in a question. What would have happened if Germany had won the Second World War? You can make the verb in one or both clauses negative. She wouldn't have got a ticket if she had been driving slower. If she hadn't parked on a zebra crossing, they wouldn't have towed her car away. If I hadn't spent my summer holidays in France last year, I wouldn't have met John. You can also use unless to introduce the conditional clause. I wouldn't have asked him for help unless I'd needed it. Remember, do not use would have after if or unless in third conditional sentences. Use would have in the main clause. You have just seen the special rules which apply to verb tenses in the three main types of conditional sentences. In addition to these three types of sentences, a variety of other sentence patterns using conditional clauses exist. If we talk about general and scientific truths and things which are felt to be always true, we use what is called a zero conditional, with the verb in both clauses in the present tense. In sentences of this type, if means every time. There is little difference in meaning between if and when. If water is heated to 100 degrees centigrade, it boils. If social services are not available, crime increases. If I have to meet someone, I arrive on time. That is the end of the lesson. Now you can do the exercises on the grammar points presented in this unit.